The bridge of the Indomitable hummed quietly as it drifted through the outer sectors of Coalition space. Captain Minho sat in his command chair, reviewing patrol reports that all said the same thing. Nothing unusual, nothing dangerous, nothing interesting. He rubbed his eyes and wondered, not for the first time, why humanity had been so eager to join a galactic community that seemed determined to avoid excitement at all costs. "Captain," Gina called from her tactical station, "I'm picking up something on the emergency frequencies." Minho straightened immediately. In 3 months of patrol, they had never received an emergency signal. "Put it through." The message that filled the bridge was broken and desperate. A voice spoke in the universal translation language, but fear needed no translation. "This is Refuge 7 Colony. Under attack. The Krath are here. They're killing everyone. Please, someone help us." Static consumed the message. Then it repeated. The same desperate plea, over and over. "Volani Colony," Gina said, her fingers dancing across her console. "Population 4,200. They're herbivores, completely peaceful. No military, no weapons." She paused. "They've been broadcasting for 6 hours." 6 hours? Taeyang looked up from his engineering station. "And no one's responded?" Gina pulled up the message logs. 3 coalition ships received the signal. All 3 classified it as non-critical and continued their routes. Her voice turned cold. "The Krath have a reputation. No one wants to fight them." Minho stood and walked to the view screen. Out there, thousands of light years away, people were dying. Not soldiers, not warriors. Artists and farmers and children. And the galaxy was doing what it always did, choosing safety over courage. "How long to reach them?" he asked. Taeyang calculated quickly. "At maximum speed, 3 days. But Captain, our engines aren't rated for sustained maximum burn." "I didn't ask if it was safe. I asked how long." The engineer smiled. It was not a pleasant smile. "If I bypass every safety protocol and run the engines past their limits, 18 hours, maybe less." "Do it." Sora stood up from her medical station. "Captain, we should contact Coalition Command. Get authorization. This is Krath territory. We're talking about a war. We're talking about 4,000 people who are going to die while we fill out forms." Minho's voice was quiet but hard as steel. "I don't need permission to do the right thing. Gina, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them what we're doing. Taeyang, start that burn. Sora, get the medical bay ready." "Ready for what?" she asked. "Casualties. Theirs and ours." The ship shuddered as Taeyang pushed the engines beyond their design limits. Minho sat back down and pulled up everything the Coalition database had on the Krath. What he read made his jaw tighten. The Krath were conquerors. They swept through peaceful systems, taking what they wanted and destroying the rest. They kept slaves. They killed for sport. They had been doing it for 200 years, and no one had stopped them because no one wanted to pay the price. "Captain," Gina said, "I'm reading the combat reports from species who fought the Krath. They're heavily armed, aggressive tactics. They use fear as a weapon." She looked at him. "Every species that's engaged them has lost." "Every species that's engaged them wasn't human." Gina smiled. "True." The hours crawled by. Taeyang kept the engines screaming, running them so hot that the engineering deck felt like a furnace. Sora prepared the medical bay with the focused intensity of someone who knew she would need every supply. Gina ran combat simulations until she had memorized every possible angle of attack. And Minho recorded a message. "This is Captain Minho of the United Earth Defense Force ship Indomitable," he said, looking into the camera. "To the Volani people of Refuge 7, we received your distress call. We are coming. Hold on. Earth is coming." He sent it on every frequency, repeating, just like their SOS. Let the Krath hear it too. Let them know that someone had answered. 16 hours into their journey, they received a response. Not from the Volani, from Coalition Command. "Captain Minho, you are ordered to return to your assigned patrol route immediately. Engagement with Krath forces is not authorized. Your ship is not equipped for this level of combat. Return at once." Minho deleted the message. "Sir," Gina said carefully, "that was a direct order." "I know. I'll face the consequences later. Right now, People are dying. 2 hours later, the Indomitable dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Refuge 7 system. What they saw made Sora gasp. 12 Krath warships surrounded the small colony world. Each ship was twice the size of the Indomitable. On the planet's surface, fires burned. The colony's shields flickered weakly, nearly depleted. "Scan for survivors," Minho ordered. Gina worked quickly, detecting life signs in the underground shelters. Maybe 2,000 Villani still alive, but the shields are failing. They have maybe an hour. Time until the Krath detect us? They already have. I'm being hailed. Put it through. A face appeared on the screen. It was reptilian, scaled, and cold. The Krath commander looked at Minho with something like amusement. "A human ship," the Krath said. "I have heard of your species. The newcomers. The ones from the Deathworld." His laugh was harsh. "One ship, against my fleet. Turn back, human. This is not your concern." Minho leaned forward in his chair. His voice was calm, almost friendly. That made it more terrifying. "This is Captain Minho of the United Earth Defense Force. You are attacking a peaceful coalition colony. You have 30 seconds to withdraw your forces and surrender. This is your only warning." The Krath commander laughed harder. "Or what? You will attack? You cannot win. I have 12 ships. You have one." "I only need one," Minho said. 20 seconds. "You're insane. Your species truly is from a death world if you think—" 10 seconds. The Krath commander's amusement faded. He leaned forward. "You want to die for these prey animals? So be it." He closed the channel. A moment later, one of the Krath ships fired on the colony. The weakened shields shattered. The weapons struck the underground shelter. Gina's face went white. 300 civilians just died. Something changed in the air on the bridge. It was subtle but undeniable. The temperature seemed to drop. The crew of the Indomitable stopped looking like explorers and started looking like something else. Something that had evolved on a world where everything wanted to kill you. Something that had learned to kill back. "Gina," Minho said quietly. "Weapons free. Target their ship that fired." "With pleasure, sir." "Taiyang, divert all power to weapons and engines. Life support to minimum." "Already done." "Sora, strap in. This is going to get rough." Minho stood and looked at the Krath fleet on his view screen. 12 ships. Thousands of warriors. A species that had conquered dozens of worlds. They had never fought humans before. They were about to learn why Earth was classified as a death world. "All hands," Minho announced across the ship. "Battle stations. Show them what happens when they hurt innocents. Show them Earth's fury." The Indomitable dropped its stealth systems and lit up every weapon it had. Then it charged straight into the Krath fleet. The Krath fleet reacted exactly as Gina's simulations predicted. They were warriors, not strategists. They saw one small ship charging at them, and they did what bullies always do when confronted. They attacked with overwhelming force. All 12 ships opened fire at once. "Incoming missiles," Gina called out. 48 total. Impact in 20 seconds. Most species would have panicked. Most ships would have tried to run. The Indomitable kept accelerating forward. "Point defense online," Gina said, her voice ice cold. Her fingers moved across the controls faster than any Krath could track. On Earth, humans played video games for fun. Games where reaction time meant everything. Games that trained hand-eye coordination to levels other species couldn't match. The Krath missiles started exploding in space, picked off by laser point defense systems, one after another, like fireworks. 48 missiles destroyed, Gina reported. 0 hits. On the Krath command ship, alarms started blaring. Their weapons officer stammered in disbelief. "Impossible. No ship can intercept that many." "Fire again," the commander roared. They did. 60 missiles this time. Gina destroyed 58. The last 2 struck the Indomitable's shields and detonated harmlessly. "Shields at 87%, Taiyang reported. Rerouting power from crew quarters." We don't need beds right now. The human ship closed the distance impossibly fast. The Krath had never seen anything move like this. Their ships were built for durability, not speed. The Indomitable was built by a species that had sent rockets to the moon, probes to distant planets, and ships across solar systems, all before they even met aliens. 10,000 kilometers, Gina counted down. 5,000, 2,000. Fire, Minho said. The Indomitable opened up with every weapon it had. Railguns that used magnetic acceleration to fire solid tungsten rods at incredible speeds. Missiles that dodged and weaved with AI guidance. Lasers that could cut through ship hulls like paper. The Krath ship that had killed the Villani civilians took the full barrage. Its shields collapsed in seconds. The hull breached. Atmosphere vented into space. The ship tried to turn, tried to bring its weapons to bear, but it was too slow. A human railgun round punched through the ship from nose to engine. The Krath warship exploded in a ball of fire that lit up the dark space. Target destroyed, Gina reported. 11 remaining. On the other Krath ships, panic set in. One ship destroyed in the opening seconds. This wasn't how battles worked. The enemy was supposed to be afraid. All ships focus fire on the human vessel, the Krath commander ordered. Crush them. They tried, they really did. But the Krath had trained to fight species who valued their lives, who retreated when damaged, who fought cautiously. Humans didn't fight like that. The Indomitable spun and dove through the Krath formation like a fighter jet, not a warship. It pulled maneuvers that should have killed the crew from the G-forces. But humans had evolved on a heavy gravity world. What would crush a Krath pilot just made the human crew grunt and keep fighting. Taiyang pushed the engines past every safety limit. Warning alarms screamed throughout the ship. He ignored them all. Engine temperature critical, he muttered. Good, means we're going fast enough. Another Krath ship exploded. Then another. Minho's tactics were unpredictable, aggressive, and absolutely devastating. He didn't fight like someone trying to win. He fought like someone who had already decided the outcome. Their command ship is trying to flank us, Gina warned. Let them, Minho said. Taiyang, hard burn starboard. Ram them. Sir? Taiyang blinked. You heard me. Ram them. The engineer's shocked expression turned into a fierce grin. Aye, Captain. The Indomitable turned and accelerated straight at the Krath command ship. The aliens saw this and couldn't believe it. What kind of insane species rams a ship 3 times their size? Deathworlders, that's who. The Krath command ship tried to move, but it was too slow. The Indomitable struck its shields at full speed. The impact would have torn apart a civilian vessel. The human warship's reinforced hull, built to survive re-entry through Earth's thick atmosphere, held firm. The Krath shields collapsed from the impact. Before they could recover, Gina fired every weapon at point-blank range directly into their hull. Direct hit, she said with satisfaction. Their weapons are offline. Life support failing. Good, Minho said. Next target. The battle had been going for 7 minutes. 5 Krath ships were destroyed or crippled. The remaining 7 finally understood what they were facing. They ran. Captain, the Krath fleet is retreating, Gina reported. They're broadcasting an emergency warning on all frequencies. What are they saying? Gina listened, then looked up with a strange expression. They're warning other Krath ships to avoid this sector. They're saying, Deathworlders active. Extreme danger. Flee on sight. Taiyang laughed. It was a hard, fierce sound. 7 minutes. We broke the most feared fleet in this sector in 7 minutes. The colony, Minho said, bringing them back to focus. Sora, what's the status of the survivors? The medic had been monitoring the planet throughout the battle. The shelters are stable now. But Captain, I'm reading Krath life signs on the surface. Hundreds of them. They have ground forces down there. Minho's expression darkened. Of course they do. Gina, what's our ship status? Shields at 41%. Hull integrity 89%. Weapons fully operational. We can still fight. Then we fight. Prepare a landing team. We're going down there. Sir, Sora said carefully, we don't know how many Krath soldiers are on the surface. We have a crew of 20. There could be thousands of them. Minho looked at her, and his eyes held no doubt. Good. Then it will be a fair fight. The crew prepared for the planetary assault. Minho suited up in combat armor, checking his weapons with the practiced ease of someone who had trained for this. Gina joined him, along with 3 others. Junho, a demolitions expert with a love for explosives. Hyun, a sniper who never missed. And Nari, a combat medic who could fight as well as she could heal. 5 of us, Junho said, loading his weapons. This is either very brave or very stupid. Probably both, Hyun said calmly, checking his rifle scope. We're human, Nari said, with a fierce smile. Brave and stupid is what we do best. They loaded into the landing craft. As they descended toward Refuge 7, Gina pulled up the scan data. Her face went pale. Captain, I'm reading over 2,000 Krath soldiers on the surface. They're occupying the colony, executing prisoners. A cold silence filled the craft. Tactical assessment? Minho asked. Gina looked at her data, then at him. Honestly, sir, 5 humans against 2,000 Krath? By coalition standards, this is suicide. Good thing we're not coalition standard, Minho said. He activated the communication system. Krath forces on Refuge 7. This is Captain Minho. You have attacked a peaceful colony. You have killed innocent people. You have 1 chance to surrender. There was laughter on the other end. A Krath commander responded. 5 soldiers? You send 5 soldiers against my army? You're not warriors. You're fools. Wrong, Minho said softly. We're humans, and you're about to learn the difference. The landing craft touched down on the planet's surface. The door opened, and the ground team stepped out into the thin atmosphere. The Krath soldiers nearby stared in confusion. The humans weren't wearing environment suits. They were breathing the planet's air like it was nothing. The high oxygen content that burned Krath lungs was perfectly normal to humans. The 1.1 g gravity that exhausted the Krath felt light and easy to creatures from a 1.0 g world. Then, Gina started running, not jogging, running at full sprint. Moving faster than the Krath thought possible in their heavy armor. 1 Krath soldier raised his weapon. Gina closed the distance in seconds, grabbed him by the neck, and threw him 6 meters into a wall. The soldier crumpled and didn't get up. The other Krath stared in horror. Minho raised his rifle. Now, he said, let's go to work. And the fury of Earth truly began. The Villani colony of Refuge 7 had once been beautiful. Clean white buildings designed for peace and art. Gardens filled with alien flowers. Schools where children learned mathematics and music. Now it was burning. The Krath had been here for 8 hours. That was 7.5 hours too long. Minho and his team moved through the colony streets like ghosts. Not because they were quiet, though they were, but because they were efficient. Every movement had purpose. Every step brought them closer to the Krath occupiers. Reading 50 Krath soldiers 200 meters north, Gina said, checking her tactical display. They're surrounding a shelter. Villani civilians inside. Hyun, find high ground, Minho ordered. Junho, I need that building on the corner rigged. Nari, stay with the wounded once we find them. Gina, with me. They separated like they had done this 1,000 times before. Maybe they had, in training. But this was real. This was people dying while they talked. Hyun found a half-collapsed building and climbed it with ease. The 1.1 g gravity barely affected him. He set up his rifle and looked through the scope. 50 Krath soldiers. They were forcing Villani civilians out of a shelter at gunpoint. Small, gentle creatures with large eyes and soft fur. They looked like prey animals because they were prey animals. Evolution had never taught them to fight, but evolution had taught humans to hunt. In position, Hyun reported. I have clear shots on 30 targets. Wait for my signal, Minho said. He and Gina circled around to the other side of the Krath position. They moved quickly, too quickly for species adapted to lighter worlds. The Krath never saw them coming. Minho activated his communicator. Krath forces, release the civilians and surrender. You have 10 seconds. The Krath commander, a large reptilian in decorated armor, laughed. Or what, human? There are 50 of us. I see only 2 of you. Your threats are... Time's up, Minho said. 3 things happened at once. Hyun started firing. His rifle was designed for long-range precision on Earth, where wind and gravity made shooting an art form. Here, with thinner air and lighter gravity, every shot was perfect. 3 Krath soldiers dropped before the others even realized they were under attack. Junho triggered his explosives. The building on the corner collapsed, cutting off the Krath's escape route and causing half the enemy soldiers to turn toward the noise, and Minho and Gina attacked. They moved like predators because that's what they were. Humans had evolved from persistence hunters, creatures that chased prey until it collapsed from exhaustion. They had the endurance to run for hours, the strength to wrestle down animals larger than themselves, the intelligence to plan and coordinate. The Krath had evolved as ambush fighters on a light-gravity world. They were strong, but they tired quickly. They were fierce, but not enduring. Minho fired his rifle in controlled bursts. Each shot found its target. When one Krath soldier got close, he used his rifle as a club, the blow delivered with bone-breaking force. The soldier went down hard. Gina fought with the brutal efficiency of someone who had trained in multiple martial arts. She dodged a Krath blade, caught the arm holding it, and broke the joint with a sharp twist. The Krath screamed. She moved on to the next target without hesitation. Targets falling back, Hyun reported, still firing. 20 down, 30 retreating. Don't let them escape, Minho ordered. They'll hurt more civilians. Junho emerged from cover and threw something small at the retreating Krath. It looked harmless. It wasn't. The flashbang grenade exploded with light and sound that stunned the Krath. Then, Junho switched to his sidearm and started shooting. The battle lasted 4 minutes. When it ended, 50 Krath soldiers were dead or unconscious. 0 humans were injured. The Villani civilians stared at their rescuers in shock and awe. One elderly Villani approached Minho carefully. She was trembling. You saved us, she whispered in accented standard. But you're so small, so soft-looking. How did you... We're from Earth, Minho said gently. We're tougher than we look. Nari rushed forward to tend to the wounded Villani. She worked quickly, her hands gentle despite being trained to kill. Multiple injuries, she reported. Burns, broken bones, trauma. I need to get them to the ship's medical bay. We still have 2,000 Krath on this planet, Gina reminded them. And they know we're here now. As if to prove her point, a massive roar echoed across the colony. Heavy footsteps shook the ground. Around the corner came a Krath war machine, a walking tank with enough firepower to level a building. Oh, that's not fair, Junho muttered. The war machine's weapons locked onto the group of Villani civilians. The Krath commander's voice boomed from speakers. Surrender, humans, or we kill them all. Hyun's voice came through the comm. I can't get a clean shot on the pilot. Too much armor. Minho looked at the war machine, then at the terrified Villani, then at his team. He made a decision that no sane coalition officer would make. Gina, Junho, cover the civilians. Nari, get them to safety. Hyun, keep watch for reinforcements. What are you going to do? Gina asked, though she already knew the answer from his expression. Something stupid. Minho ran straight at the war machine. The Krath pilot couldn't believe what he was seeing. One human, on foot, charging a vehicle designed to fight other vehicles. He laughed and fired the main cannon. Minho dove aside at the last second. The blast crater appeared where he had been a moment before. He kept running, zigzagging to avoid the next shots. The pilot was skilled, but he was used to shooting at slow-moving targets. Humans on adrenaline could sprint at speeds that seemed impossible. Minho reached the war machine and jumped. On Earth's gravity, he could jump maybe half a meter high. Here, in lighter gravity, wearing powered armor, he launched himself 3 meters up and grabbed hold of the vehicle's leg joint. The pilot tried to shake him off, making the machine stomp and turn. Minho held on with the grip strength of a species that had evolved climbing trees. He pulled himself up, found the maintenance hatch, every vehicle had one, and forced it open with his armored hands. Are you insane? The Krath pilot screamed as Minho tore through the wiring. Probably, Minho said, and pulled the main power coupling free. The war machine shut down and collapsed. Minho dropped to the ground and rolled, coming up with his rifle ready. The pilot tried to escape through the emergency hatch. Minho pointed his weapon at him. Don't, he said simply. The Krath pilot raised his hands in surrender. Over the next 2 hours, the human team worked through the colony systematically. Hyun picked off targets from a distance. Junho used explosives to cut off escape routes. Nari saved wounded Villani while somehow also managing to shoot 3 Krath who got too close. Gina and Minho led assault after assault, never stopping, never slowing. The Krath couldn't understand it. They had numbers. They had weapons. They had training. But they had never fought an enemy like this. Humans didn't get tired the way other species did. Their endurance was terrifying. They could fight for hours without rest. They coordinated perfectly, thinking and adapting faster than the Krath could respond. And they fought with something the Krath had never encountered before: righteous fury. Every Krath soldier who hurt a Villani civilian faced the full wrath of Earth's warriors. By the time the sun set on Refuge 7, the Krath were in full retreat. Their landing craft lifted off in panic, abandoning soldiers on the ground. The ones left behind threw down their weapons and begged for mercy. Minho granted it. Barely. You'll be taken as prisoners, he told them. You'll stand trial. And if I ever see you near a civilian again, there won't be a third chance. The Villani emerged from their shelters slowly, afraid to believe it was over. They found 5 humans standing among the ruins of their colony, dirty and tired but undefeated. The elderly Villani approached Minho again. She looked at him with tears in her large eyes. I don't understand, she said. We are nothing to you. Why did you fight so hard for us? Minho knelt down so he was at her eye level. His voice was gentle. Because you needed help, he said simply. That's enough. She touched his armored hand with her small paw. The others, they fear the Krath too much. They would not come. But you are fearsome, but you are kind. We're human, Minho said. We're both. The count came in over the next hour. 3,147. Villani survived. They had saved nearly everyone who made it to the shelters. 23 humans had minor injuries from the fighting. 0 fatalities. As for the Krath, their forces were destroyed. Their reputation was shattered. Across the galaxy, the message spread. Humans had defeated the Krath Empire's best troops with 5 soldiers. But in the ruins of Refuge 7, none of that mattered. What mattered was the sound of Villani children crying in relief, the sight of families reuniting, the feeling of having done something good. Gina stood next to Minho as they watched the Villani begin to rebuild. Command is going to be furious, she said. I know. We violated orders, started a war, attacked a superior force. I know. Worth it? Minho looked at a Villani child who had just been reunited with her mother. Both were crying and holding each other tight. Every second, he said. The Coalition Council chamber on the station Harmony 1 had never been this crowded. Representatives from 47 species filled the massive circular room, all of them talking at once. At the center stood Ambassador Yuna, the human representative, looking calm despite the chaos around her. Order! The council chairman banged his soundmaker. He was a Thornian, a species known for their patience and diplomacy. Today, he looked like both were running thin. We will have order. The room quieted slowly. All eyes turned to Yuna. Ambassador, the chairman said carefully, your species has been part of the coalition for less than 1 standard year. In that time, you have been quiet, observant, peaceful. He paused. And now this. Please explain what happened at Refuge 7. Yuna stepped forward. She was small compared to many of the aliens present, but she stood straight and spoke clearly. The facts are simple, she said. The Villani sent a distress call. 3 coalition ships received it. All 3 chose to ignore it. 1 human ship responded. Captain Minho and his crew saved 3,947 innocent lives. A Kravath representative, a tall insectoid species, stood up angrily. Your captain attacked the Krath Empire. This is an act of war. Do you understand what you've done? Yes, Una said simply. We saved people who were being murdered. The Krath are the most dangerous military force in this sector, another representative said. No one fights them because no one can win. How did one human ship destroy 5 of their warships and defeat 2,000 of their soldiers? Una pulled up a holographic display. It showed footage from the battle, recorded by the Indomitable's sensors. The council watched in silence as the human ship tore through the Krath fleet. They watched 5 humans fight 2,000 Krath soldiers and win. This is impossible, someone whispered. It's not, Una said. It's human. And I think it's time the council understood what that means. She changed the display to show Earth. The blue and green planet rotated slowly. This is our home. You've classified it as a death world. Class 12 hazard rating. Do you know why? No one answered. It's because Earth is trying to kill us, Una said bluntly. The gravity is crushing by your standards. The oxygen level in our air would burn your lungs. Our weather creates storms that can level cities. Our oceans have creatures that could swallow your ships. Our land has predators that make the Krath look gentle. She paused. And humans are not even the apex predator on our world. A shocked murmur ran through the chamber. We evolved on a planet where everything is dangerous, Una continued. We learned to run long distances to chase prey until it collapsed. We learned to climb and swim and fight, because if we didn't, we died. We learned to work together because alone, we were prey. She looked around the room. Every human is descended from the ones who survived. We're not special. We're just from Earth. The Thornian chairman leaned forward. But the Krath are warriors, trained soldiers. How did 5 humans? Our soldiers train harder, Una interrupted. We practice combat sports for fun. We climb mountains because they're there. We run marathons to prove we can. We lift weights until we're strong enough to move our own body weight easily. On your worlds, this would be insane. On Earth, it's called exercise. She pulled up more data. Human reaction time, 0.2 seconds. Krath reaction time, 0.6 seconds. We're 3 times faster. Human endurance can run for hours without stopping. Krath endurance, exhausted after 20 minutes. Human bone density, evolved for 1.0 g gravity. Krath bone density, evolved for 0.6 g. The numbers kept coming. Each one showed the same thing. Humans were built for a world that would kill most coalition species in minutes. You're saying humans are naturally superior? A representative asked nervously. No, Una said firmly. We're saying humans are naturally adapted to survive on a death world. Put us on your planets, with your gravity and your safe conditions, and we'd be too strong, too fast, too durable. It's not fair. But evolution isn't about fairness. It's about survival. The council sat in stunned silence. Then another representative stood. This one was Villani, one of the species the humans had saved. I was there, the Villani said quietly. I saw the humans fight, but I also saw them show mercy. They could have killed all the Krath. They didn't. They took prisoners. They gave medical aid to the wounded. Even the wounded Krath. She looked around the room. Yes, they're dangerous, but they're also kind. That combination, I've never seen it before. The question is what to do now, the chairman said. The Krath Empire has issued an ultimatum. They demand that Captain Minho and his crew be turned over for punishment. If we refuse, they threaten war against the entire coalition. The room erupted in panic. Representatives shouted about the danger, the risk, the thousands of worlds that might be destroyed. Una waited for them to quiet down. Then she said, very calmly, "Tell the Krath to come and take him." Every being in the room stared at her. You want to fight them?" the chairman asked in disbelief. "I want them to understand something," Una said. "Captain Minho saved innocent lives. He violated orders to do it, yes. He'll face Earth's justice for that. But he will not be handed over to the people who were executing civilians. If the Krath want war, they can have it. But they should know what they're starting." You speak of Earth's military, the Kravith representative said. How large is it? Una smiled. It was not a warm smile. Earth has 15,000 warships, built during our conflicts with each other before we unified. We were hoping we'd never need them again. Turns out, we were wrong. 15,000? Someone gasped. That's larger than the entire coalition fleet combined. Yes, we're a young species, but we've been fighting wars for 10,000 years. We're very good at it. Una's expression hardened. The Krath want to threaten us? Fine, but they should know. Humans protect their own. And we've decided the Villani are ours now. Anyone who hurts them answers to Earth. The council chairman looked troubled. This could mean the end of the coalition. The other species will never agree to fight the Krath. Then they can stay out of it, Una said. Earth will fight alone if we have to. We're used to that. Over the next 3 days, the galaxy held its breath. The Krath Empire sent threats. The coalition debated, and Earth mobilized. Admiral Kiwu stood on the bridge of the flagship Defiant, watching 15,000 ships take position around Earth's solar system. They were beautiful and terrible, weapons built by a species that had nearly destroyed itself and decided to never be threatened again. Sir, his tactical officer reported, Krath fleet detected at the system's edge. Count is 200 ships. 200, Kiwu said thoughtfully. They think that's enough to scare us. Orders, sir? Kiwu thought about the Vellani children who had been saved, about Captain Minho, who faced court-martial for doing the right thing, about the Krath, who thought they could bully anyone they wanted. Send them a message, he said. Tell them this is their last chance to turn around. After that, we shoot first and ask questions never. The message was sent. The Krath response came quickly. From Krath Fleet Commander to Human Admiral, you are surrounded, you are outnumbered. Surrender your world, or we will burn it. Kiwu laughed. Actually laughed. Outnumbered, we have 15,000 ships. They have 200. Do the Krath not understand math? Shall I explain it to them? Sir? His tactical officer asked with a grin. No, Kiwu said. Let's show them instead. He opened a channel to the entire Krath fleet. When he spoke, his voice was calm and absolutely cold. This is Admiral Kiwu of the United Earth Defense Force. You attacked a peaceful colony. You killed innocent civilians. You threatened our crew members who saved lives. And now you come to Earth, our home, and think you can threaten us? He paused, letting that sink in. You're about to learn why the galaxy calls our planet a death world. It's not because of the environment. It's because of what it created. You wanted Earth's fury. You're going to get it. He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. All ships, weapons free. Show the Krath what happens when they threaten our home. 15,000 human warships powered up their weapons. The space around Earth lit up like a star. The Krath fleet suddenly realized they had made a terrible mistake. They weren't outnumbered. They were outgunned, outmatched, and about to face the full military might of a species that had spent centuries perfecting the art of war. All ships retreat, the Krath commander ordered frantically. Retreat now! But it was too late. Earth was done being threatened. The Battle of Sol was about to begin. The Krath fleet tried to run. They turned their massive warships around and prepared to jump to faster-than-light speed. But they had forgotten something important. They were deep in Earth's solar system, and humans had spent centuries preparing for threats from space. Sir, detecting multiple objects launching from Earth's surface, the Krath tactical officer reported. Hundreds of them. Missiles? The commander asked. Negative. They're mines moving into position around us. It was too late when the Krath realized what was happening. The human mines spread out in a web pattern, boxing the Krath fleet in. Each mine contained the most dangerous weapon humans had ever created: nuclear warheads. Admiral Kiwu watched the tactical display with satisfaction. They wanted to threaten our home. Let's make them regret it. Detonate the minefield. Space lit up with nuclear fire. Most coalition species had banned nuclear weapons centuries ago, calling them too cruel, too destructive. Humans had simply made them bigger. The Krath shields absorbed the first wave of explosions. The second wave overwhelmed them. 3 Krath ships went dark, their systems fried by electromagnetic pulses. 2 more started venting atmosphere from hull breaches. Enemy fleet is trapped and damaged, Kiwu's tactical officer reported. They're trying to raise shields again. Don't give them the chance. All ships, attack pattern Delta. Let's finish this. What followed wasn't a battle. It was a demonstration. The human ships moved with coordination the Krath had never seen. Pilots like Doyun flew their fighters in patterns that would crush most species under the G-forces, pulling turns that seemed impossible. The Krath tried to track them and failed. How are they moving like that? A Krath weapons officer screamed. Those maneuvers should kill them. But humans had evolved on a heavy gravity world. Their bodies could handle forces that would turn other species into paste. Their reflexes were faster. Their endurance was greater. And they had spent their entire history fighting each other, perfecting the art of combat. Commander Minji led a squadron of drone fighters, small, fast, and controlled by artificial intelligence. Most coalition species had banned combat AI, afraid of what it might become. Humans had simply taught the AI to fight like humans, aggressive, unpredictable, and absolutely relentless. The drones swarmed Krath ships like angry wasps. Too many targets to track, too fast to hit. They didn't just attack, they learned. Each failed Krath defense was analyzed and countered within seconds. Target the human command ship, the Krath commander ordered desperately. If we kill their admiral, they'll retreat. The Krath dreadnought, their most powerful ship, turned its massive guns toward Admiral Kiwu's flagship. It fired everything: plasma cannons, missile batteries, beam weapons. The barrage would have destroyed any other ship in the galaxy. The Defiant took the hits on its shields and kept coming. Shields at 60%, Kiwu's officer reported calmly. Reroute power from non-essential systems. Return fire. The human flagship's weapons were different from anything the Krath had fought before. Railguns that fired solid metal at a fraction of light speed. Missiles that dodged and weaved with their own targeting AI. Lasers that could cut through armor like butter. The Krath dreadnought's shields collapsed under the assault. Its hull breached. Atmosphere vented into space in frozen clouds. Enemy flagship is disabled, the tactical officer reported. Good, signal them. Offer surrender terms. The communication went out. The Krath commander, watching his fleet being destroyed around him, had to make a choice. Keep fighting and die, or surrender to the Deathworlders. He chose neither. In a final act of desperation, he aimed his ship at Earth itself. If he couldn't win, he would at least hurt the humans. Planet killer weapons charging, the Krath commander screamed. If we die, we take your world with us. On Earth, billions of humans watched the battle on their screens. They saw the Krath ship turn toward their home. They saw the weapons charging, ready to burn their planet. And something changed in the human fleet. The professional military discipline transformed into something more primal. The Krath had threatened to destroy Earth. They had made it personal. All ships, Admiral Kiwu said, his voice colder than space itself. New priority. That ship does not get to fire. Do whatever it takes. Captain Minho, who had been watching from the Indomitable, opened his own channel. Admiral, permission to engage? You're supposed to be under arrest, Captain. Arrest me after. Right now they're threatening my planet. Kiwu smiled grimly. Permission granted. Show them why you don't threaten Earth. The Indomitable and 50 other human ships accelerated to ramming speed. The Krath couldn't believe it. The humans were going to physically ram a ship 10 times their size. They're insane, the Krath commander shrieked. All of them are insane. The first human ship struck the Krath dreadnought's weakened shields. The shields collapsed completely. The second ship rammed the weapons array, destroying the planet killer before it could fire. The third, fourth, and fifth ships tore through the hull, their reinforced armor designed to survive re-entry, turning them into massive bullets. The Indomitable was the sixth ship to hit. Minho aimed for the bridge. The impact was catastrophic. The Krath dreadnought shuddered, then began to break apart. Secondary explosions rippled through its hull. The ship that was supposed to burn Earth died in fire and vacuum. Enemy flagship destroyed, someone reported. The remaining Krath ships saw their commander die. They saw Earth's fury unleashed. They saw a species that would rather destroy their own ships than let their home be threatened. They surrendered. All of them. In 15 minutes, the most feared military force in the sector had been broken. But the humans weren't done. Admiral, the communication officer said, "We're receiving a transmission from the Krath homeworld. It's their high command. They want to negotiate." "Put them through," Kiwu said. The face that appeared on screen was old and scarred. A Krath general who had seen 1,000 battles. But now he looked afraid. "Admiral Kiwu," the general said carefully, "we acknowledge our defeat. We wish to discuss terms." "Here are my terms," Kiwu said. "The Krath Empire will immediately free every slave you hold. You will pay reparations to every species you've attacked. You will withdraw from Coalition space and never return. And you will broadcast to every species in this galaxy that Earth and its allies are off-limits, forever." The Krath general's face darkened. "And if we refuse? Then we come to your homeworld next, and we won't be as gentle as we were today." Silence. The general looked at something off-screen, probably casualty reports. 200 ships sent to Earth. Only 37 survived, and those were damaged. Against humanity's 15,000. "We accept your terms," the general said quietly. "Good. You have 30 days. If even one slave is still in chains after that, we'll consider it an act of war. And trust me, General, you don't want to fight us again." The transmission ended. The human fleet stood down, damaged but victorious. On Earth, people celebrated in the streets. In the Coalition Council, representatives sat in shocked silence. On Refugee 7, the Villani cried with joy and relief. And in the Indomitables brig, Captain Minho sat and waited to face court-martial for disobeying orders. Admiral Kiwu came to see him personally. "Well, Captain," Kiwu said, "you violated direct orders. You engaged in unauthorized combat. You started a war." "Yes, sir, I did." "You also saved thousands of lives, exposed the Krath as cowards, and proved that humanity won't tolerate bullies." Kiwu smiled. "The court-martial has been cancelled. Earth Command has decided that any officer willing to risk everything for innocent lives is exactly the kind of officer we need." Minho stood up, surprised. "Sir? You're being promoted, Captain, and transferred to a new assignment. The Coalition has begged, really, for Earth to provide military protection for vulnerable species. You're going to command the first Joint Species Task Force, humans working with aliens to keep the peace." "That's an honor, sir. It's a responsibility, one I think you can handle." Kiwu extended his hand. "Show the galaxy what humans really are, not monsters, not conquerors, protectors." 3 months later, Captain Minho stood on the reconstructed Refuge 7. The Villani had rebuilt their colony with help from Earth. Human engineers and Villani architects working together, creating something beautiful. In the colony center stood a new monument. It showed a human figure standing protectively over Villani children. The inscription was in every Coalition language. "When we called for help, they answered. When we faced evil, they fought. When we needed hope, they gave us fury. Earth's warriors asked for nothing but our safety. We will never forget." Ambassador Yuna stood beside Minho as they looked at the monument. "Do you think it will last?" Minho asked. "The peace?" "As long as people like you are willing to fight for it," Yuna said. The galaxy learned something important. They learned that humans are dangerous, yes. But we're dangerous to those who hurt the innocent. To everyone else, we're the best friends they could ask for. Across the galaxy, the word spread. Species that had lived in fear of the Krath for generations could now sleep safely. Aggressive empires thought twice before attacking peaceful colonies. Pirates and raiders found new hunting grounds far from Earth's patrol routes. Because humanity had joined the Coalition, and humanity had made it clear: harm the innocent and face the fury of the Deathworld. On Earth, life continued. People worked and played and dreamed of the stars. They were still the same species that had almost destroyed itself, still capable of great violence. But they had found a better purpose for that violence. Not conquest, not domination, protection. The Deathworlders had become the galaxy's guardians, and they would never stop fighting for those who couldn't fight for themselves. That was the human way.